I'm Scott. In this video, I'm going to cover my unboxing of my Raspberry Pi 3 kit from Cana Kit. This is the first video in a series of videos that I'll be producing related to the Raspberry Pi. In this video, I'm going to cover the unboxing of my Raspberry Pi kit that I purchased from Cana Kit. By purchasing a kit, this saved me the trouble of having to search all over the internet for all the different parts to make up a complete system. The kit I purchased from Cana Kit contained a Raspberry Pi 3, a case for my Raspberry Pi, a power supply for my Raspberry Pi, an HDMI cable to connect my Raspberry Pi up to output such as a fancy monitor or a TV. It contained heat sinks, and it contained an instruction card for the GPIO header pins on the Raspberry Pi, and it contained a starting guide. It also contained a thumb drive that plugs into your computer that lets you add software onto a microSD card. Finally, it came with a microSD card that contained the Noob system, which lets you install operating systems, and it contained the operating system Raspbian, which works with the Raspberry Pi. I purchased my kit in the spring of 2018, and for a Raspberry 3 kit, the price was approximately $70, and that was free shipping because I used Amazon Prime. If you were going to purchase the new Raspberry 3 Plus, the price of the kit is roughly $80 plus shipping. Okay, now that we talked about what's in the kit, let's actually get to the part of the video that shows me doing all of the unboxing. Alright, this is my unboxing video of my Raspberry Pi kit. I bought it from Cana Kit on Amazon, and I bought this whole kit for roughly $70, and that was with free shipping from Amazon Prime. So here's what we get inside this Cana Kit. We're going to get a Raspberry 3 Pi. We're going to get the 32 gigabyte edition, and I'll show you everything that comes in the kit. So inside the box, we get a little "Thanks customer, we value you" card. On the back of it is a nice pinout for the GPIO, the general purpose input-output connector that's on it. And we'll get to that for other projects when we do some input-output with this Raspberry Pi PCB, printed circuit board. You get an HDMI cable. This allows you to do video output from your Raspberry Pi to your monitor or to your TV set via the HDMI cable connector. We get a 2.5 amp power supply. It's roughly what you get on your cell phone. Some of them are 2 amps, but for the Raspberry Pi computer to work properly, you need 2.5 amp. And you want a good one. You don't want some cheap cable, because you'll lose some of your amperage as it goes from the wall to your system. So a good power supply, 2.5 amps. This is the case that comes in the kit, and this is, you'll put your printed circuit board for your Raspberry Pi inside of it to protect it. This inside this box, and we'll open it up a little bit later, is my Raspberry Pi 3. If you start to notice, it's going to be kind of small if it's fitting inside a palm of my hand. So this is a small computer. And remember, the Raspberry Pi is a computer. It has a SoC, a system on a chip, and that little chip, the size of my thumbnail, we'll show you later, contains everything you need. So it's crazy how small and how expensive. This itself is like $35. So it's very consumer friendly. It came with some heat sinks. These are just aluminum heat sinks. They'll go on your system on a chip, your SoC chip, and it goes onto the video display chip. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, this is your, comes with a micro SD drive, and this one, and it lets you connect it to the computer. This is what your operating systems go on for your Raspberry Pi. You put them on a micro SD card, similar to what you use in your camera. In your phone, your iPhone has these cards in them, and you just, or your Android phone too, and you'll put this in your Raspberry Pi and let it boot up to the operating system that you want to work on for your project. There's many different operating systems that will work on a Raspberry Pi. And then finally, in the box, we get a Cana Kit Raspberry Pi Quick Start Guide. That basically shows you how to bring it up. And this is our Raspberry Pi. That's what it looks like. So, and we'll get to that. And that is all that's in the box. In this next part of the unboxing, we're just going to unbox the different boxes that came with it. So we're going to start here with the 2.5 amp power supply. So if you've ever looked inside your computer, you've got some big, heavy power supply. I'll show a picture of what one of those looks like. And this is what the power supply, the 2.5 amp power supply looks like. Plug this into the wall, and we're going to plug this input, looks like the size of your phone, into the Raspberry Pi, and that's the power supply. Alright, moving on from the power supply, we'll go to, here is the case for the Raspberry Pi. This is, hate to use this term, but it's the less expensive case. You can get some pretty sophisticated cases out there, but I think this is like $5 or $8, something like that. If you bought it separately, they're giving the kit. So it's got some little rubber feet on there. You probably can't really tell that from the video. It makes it not slippery. It's got ventilation. It's got everything in there. I'll show you a little bit later on how to put the Raspberry Pi inside this. It's got a nice little logo on the top here. It looks like a raspberry to let some heat out of it. Alright, next we're going to unwrap the actual Raspberry Pi. And this is a 3. I keep saying that. Here's a Raspberry Pi 3. It's got some information on the back here. The reason this is a big deal is I'm doing this video in spring of 2018. And I believe it was April they came out with a Raspberry Pi 3 Plus. It's more powerful. I didn't get it initially. I will be getting one later on when I do some other projects, but just for right out of the gate, I just got the Raspberry 3. For what I need, it's the projects I've got set up to do, it's more than enough power. So it comes with a little instruction booklet. Nothing fancy. I'll definitely need my reading glasses to read that. It's small print. Here is the micro SD chip that comes with it. Tiny, tiny, tiny. There's the size of my thumbnail. Just give you a concept of that. And this is from this company. This is a pre-installed with the operating system called Noobs, N-O-O-B-S. And that'll let me jumpstart this thing right out of the gate. This is a 32 gigabyte micro SD card. So that's nice. That's one thing about the kit. This Cana Kit, the kits you get from Cana Kit, they're excellent. They're top notch. You're not going to get ripped off, and everything's going to work. And they've got it where you can come right out of the gate. Here's your anesthetic bag, and this is it. Fits in the size of my hand. This is the computer. This is the system on a chip. That's the brains right there. That's got everything you want on it. And we're going to go over all the details on this later on. So I'll explain what each one of these things are. That's the component side. This is what we call the solder side. take our Raspberry Pi, a 3 in this case, and put it inside the case. So I'm just gonna open the lid, nothing fancy here. And what you probably cannot see on video is it's got pictures here. This shows you these are the USB hubs. This will be your internet connector. So these holes will line up for the USB hub plugs. There's your Ethernet cable connector. In here, there's a place for a camera. They call it a Pi camera. We'll do some projects with the Pi camera. Your GPIO header pins go through here. It's all kinds of stuff. That helps us take this and line it up. So here we go. So after I took the lid off, I got one more piece. This surround comes off the base plate, and it's just got snaps over here on the left hand side. That pops open and that pulls apart. It's got these little nubs right here, kind of hard to see in the video, but there's two little nubs. So when we put it back together, the part will go into these nubs and then just slide right up and click. So this is let's see. So it came out this way. So now we want to put this thing together. So as I reassemble this case, in this case, there's two lips right here. So I'm going to slide the board in under those lips and then prop it down. So let's see if we get this in there. So I'm going in under the lips. So if you can see that, that's in under those lips. And then I'm just pressing it down, and it fits like a glove. If you notice, look how the plastic parts fits right under those components. So that is in there. And then the next piece, we're going to just take this top part, or the base surround sound, and put it over top of that and snap that into place. All right, so we're going to take the Raspberry Pi that's in the footer of the case. And now we're going to put the surround sound piece over top of it. And so this is going to go straight on it, and then we'll put those little nubs on. So we'll lean it a little bit to the right, click, and then push it down into its final spot. So I'm just lining everything up on the case, and everything looks good. So now I just begin easily, I'm just prying this into place. It fits so tight, which is what you want. It's machined perfectly. So it takes a little time to get it in there because you don't want to damage your Pi right out of the gate. There it is. So it just snapped into place. Hopefully you heard that. And there it is. There's the surround case. This plastic is now protecting all those components. Notice how you can't see it anymore. So you're pretty much safe to touch it all over. And then the final piece is we're just going to put the topper on it. And there we go. So there's your Raspberry Pi case done. And that will protect it from damage. And it gives it plenty of room to breathe, basically get the air out of it. And so when I say that, one of the things I didn't do when I put it together is the two heat sinks that came in, I'll put them right here. So there'll be a heat sink sticking up in that hole and a heat sink sticking up in that hole. And that's why those are cut out like that, so the heat sinks will put in there. And that way, based on the application you're doing, your processors will generate more heat. You could overclock this thing and it'll generate more heat, so to help you out on dissipating the heat coming out of here. It's not mandatory, it's not required, but if you really get into it, it's something you need to do. And the cooler you can keep your processor running, the more stable it'll be, the systems, the faster it goes. The faster it goes, the more heat it generates. So it's a good thing to do. You could do it after you put your Raspberry Pi in the case, so I could put them on now. Either way, it's fine. All right. Take a look at the SD card reader, or the microSD card reader. So I've already pre-cut around this. This comes out. So what this thing does is this will actually pull apart. So your micro SD card will go inside of here. You put it in there, and then you shove this into your USB drive in your computer, and that's how you can load different operating systems onto your micro SD card. Now, when I bought this kit, it came with an SD card. It's going to be loaded with noobs. So this is the operating system. It's on this SD card. This will be the operating system I'll get started with. For the other projects I'm going to do, I'll be downloading different operating systems, and I'll take this SD card and put it into the SD slot in my Raspberry Pi and then boot it up. It's for different projects. So we're going to take the case, which has my Raspberry Pi inserted in it. We're just going to do a quick overview of what's the hose. This would be my power supply. This would be for my HDMI cable. This is for a stereo headphone or even for a composite output. This is for an Ethernet cable, which can be used. This also has Bluetooth and Wi-Fi in it. I mean, this tiny thing, this thing is loaded with technology. So I could do Wi-Fi just like I do with my phone, or I can do Bluetooth just like you do with other devices such as headphones. And this has 4 USB ports, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the very back on the bottom is my micro SD slot. So at this point we're going to take the micro SD, which for Raspberry Pi, that's going to have your operating system in it. This kit came loaded with the noobs, which will allow me to download other operating systems. Alright, there's my 32 gig SD RAM, or micro SD card. It's got my operating system on it. In this case, the noobs, which will let me download other operating systems. Gold contacts go up. Words go down onto the bottom. I slipped it in. There, it's loaded. We're done. That's the operating system installed on it. That's how easy that is to do. We're at the point now where we want to connect the Raspberry Pi 3. We're going to use this as the computer now. We're going to hook this up to the video output. I've got a monitor over here. So to do that, it comes with an HDMI cable, and this is really useful if you want to go to your TV or a more modern monitor. This is an old monitor I've got sitting around the house, and unfortunately it doesn't have HDMI. So on the contact, it only has a VGA contact. So I had to go get into my box of goodies these different connectors. And so, for example, this takes a video out, converts it to a display port out, a large one, and converts it to a VGA. Unfortunately, I don't have a display port out on the Raspberry. I've got an HDMI out. So I went up to Best Buy, and you get these off of Amazon too. And Walmart may stock them, may not. But so this is my VGA, and this is my HDMI. So I'll plug for testing on the workbench. For a monitor, I'll use this adapter. If I was just going straight to the computer for the TV, which I'll do for some projects, I'll use this HDMI cable. So at this point, I'm just going to plug in the adapter to my VGA, and I'll plug in the HDMI cable to the HDMI port in the Raspberry. Okay, at that point, I've got the Raspberry hooked up to the video output. Science! Now I want to connect a mouse. I need a mouse to connect up to my Raspberry and a keyboard. I need to connect a keyboard up. You can do hardwired USB keyboards or USB mouses. I'm just going to use wireless So I'm just going to go to the USB ports. I'm going to put my wireless mouse dongle in here like that, and I'm going to take the USB dongle for the keyboard and just put it in there like that. So now I've got my wireless mouse connected and my wireless keyboard connected and my monitor connected to my Raspberry Pi computer. Our last piece of connecting the Raspberry Pi computer up is we got to give it power. Got to plug in the power supply. So I'll take the power supply and I'm going to unravel the big long cord. I'm going to plug in the power supply to the wall. And I'm going to plug in the power supply, this plug, into the back of my Raspberry Pi. And we now have power. And if we look at the monitor just came on. And there's the Raspberry Pi logo. It's resizing the format and everything. It's booting up to Noobs. We've talked about Noobs a bunch of times. Alright, so there we go. I've now got my Raspberry Pi computer booted up. Alright, that wraps up this video showing me unboxing my Raspberry Pi kit from Cana Kit. Hopefully in this video you'll see some exposure to something you haven't seen before, a Raspberry Pi. Keep watching my YouTube channel and you'll see more videos as I release them related to the Raspberry Pi, such as installing the operating system, such as reviewing the different software that comes with the operating system, such as the Office suite or the programming languages. And we'll also cover the different projects I plan to do with my RetroPi, such as a retro gaming system, or a Kodi appliance, or just playing around with different input outputs, such as programming an LCD monitor, or LEDs, or weather instrumentation. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click on the red subscribe button below. If you liked the video, click on the thumbs up. If you disliked the video, click on the thumbs down. Don't forget to leave any comments in the comment section below. Remember, you're never too young to learn, and you're never too old to learn. Alright, have a great day.